Following along the path of having just searches that stack up here, what we are going to do now is a very cool feature for both admins and our customers, which is saving all the searches that they do and saving a couple of details about whether they got results for the search and what the results were. That way, obviously, we can help people revisit the things that they were interested in the past, and we can also kind of audit whether our searches are performing as well as we want them to. And we can kind of get a sense for possibly things that people want to search for that our search technique is not able to really find. So yeah, this is a task that can be done pretty simply. It can also get more sophisticated. And I think what we want to do is create two models here. One is going to store the search, and the other is going to store search results. It's not completely clear if this will be the case for our application, but for most of the time, if you're searching for something, you may get more than one result. And in that case, it does, I think, make sense to have a normalized structure where you store the results individually. So let's just go ahead and assume that that is going to be useful to us. So we can say Rails G, and we can just go ahead and create a scaffold for this. So so search obviously is both a noun and a verb. Using the simple term does have potential pitfalls. Like, this is going to create a controller called searches controller, which is a name that we might want to use for something else. Actually, this is a cool example of something that I was thinking about earlier, which is that sometimes controllers are named singular. So we could have a controller called search controller, and that might be the one that does the searching for us. And then we can have a controller called searches controller, which is the one that helps us manage our saved searches. So I guess that's okay. I was thinking an alternative might be like search query or search attempt or search. Yeah, I guess search really as a noun is the most expressive thing here. Because if I were to say search query, then that would imply that there's only one record per query, but it actually multiple different people could search for the same query, and we would be storing them separately. Although, interestingly enough, we might be able to just grab the results that came from the last time somebody searched for it. Particularly, like, if our algorithm ends up being really convoluted and something that takes time, we might want to almost have kind of cached results for the search that we can just ship out. And then if we want, we can also rerun the algorithm to find new results if our algorithm or our data has improved in the meantime. But yeah, Rails G scaffold search. So the search will carry a query, architect, who did the search, and I'm also kind of thinking about doing that.
I believe that too also. Because
sometimes the person who's searching is going to be admin. So there's at least 3 different ways to model that situation. One is that we could just force every admin to also have an architect account. And we can pretty easily make it so that when you log into one, it logs you into both. So we could say, okay, it's simpler to just say all searches are done by architects, and therefore we will just make every admin have an architect account. That's, I think, a totally reasonable approach. Another way to do this is by straight up polymorphism. So we would have one field that says searcher type, and that would have string data that said either architect or admin. And then there would be another field that says searcher ID, and that would be the numeric ID of the person who was searching. So that polymorphism is great, and I use it very regularly when I create applications. For this particular situation, I feel like this form of polymorphism, where there's two numeric IDs and only one of them will be populated, is possibly relevant because I think it has performance benefits, and I don't think that the number of different types of accounts that can be searching is going to be that large. Although it might be. It really might be. Actually, I'm starting to be persuaded that this is the wrong approach. Like, what about just making every admin house have an architect account? Well, that does pollute the architect data a little. Although not really. I mean, we're not hinging on the fact that every architect account is like an accredited architect.
I think for customer service, the first one sounds better than polymorphism, because if there is a customer service, we would have admin logins. We would need to see what that architect is trying to look for.
Yeah, that's a good point. So as admins who are developing the site, we're going to be doing a ton of searching just to see what works. And in the early going, and maybe throughout the life of the project, a lot, if not the vast majority of searches are going to be done by admins. And so it would be nice to have a really quick way to filter out the searches that are actually coming from customers. And that is actually a pretty cool benefit. So we're going to go ahead and do this as an experiment. So we're storing the query, we're storing the architect. Timestamps we get for free because Rails assumes that you want timestamps on every table. And then I guess we could also store the number of results. And we could consider storing whether it led to a purchase or something like that, but we can figure out how to model that later, because that might be more appropriate to put on the next table, which is storing the individual results. Whether it was saved into a project or something like that.
I mean, I anticipate offering more than just one service. There's, a different series of services. So
yeah. So the next scaffold is going to be search result, and it's going to have a search ID, and it's going to have a lot ID, and that's probably all it needs. Yeah, so this is the data that will be promoted into the status of like a project that the client wants to show off to his friends. So we'll figure out how to model that later on. For now, we'll just make the two foreign keys. And then I'll just migrate the database. And I'll jump right into this search. Okay. So what I want to do is store the search Actually, those can go second. The first thing I want to put in there is just the query. That's query. Okay, so I'm saving the query before it gets sanitized, but that's okay. I think that's okay. Maybe we should also put in the sanitized query. Yeah, that might make sense to also store that one. Actually, no, this sanitizer is using the Postal Service thing. So we have to keep in mind that if we want to sanitize these all later, we are running up against their ability to detect whether we're doing bulk batch processing. I think for now we're okay. We'll check this out later. Okay, so search. And then search dot update attributes results 1. So right now we don't really have the ability to have more than one result for a search, so this is the best level of accuracy that we can achieve at the moment. And I think that's probably all we need.
This might not be the right time to introduce this subject, but it's something that we could consider. This search is going to display results, but this is for users that we call architects. We could even create another user that could be like a government, right? So if the city wanted to change some of those parameters, like offer what a floor area ratio would be, you know, in a different, or, you know what I mean? So we could, I don't know, if we could create another view, a page view for another like super user to experiment with the code. You know what I mean? Something,
cool. Yeah, totally.
Just something to think about.
Okay, so there's our search. Here's, ooh, nice. We got this with this little bit of layout here. We can go to the searches index, say architect name, and we haven't read that method yet actually, architect. Great. Auto indenting, confused by the, there we go. Indenting is very important. I spend a lot of time getting it right. Okay, first name, whoops.
Is it important for workflow or for actually the code to read?
It's important for maintainability. I mean, even more so for HTML than Ruby, but both. For both, you need to kind of know, be able to quickly, because like what you get is you get these kind of stacks of end, like in our search, there's a little bit of a stack, you see, so you go, here's the first level, here's the second level, see that? And then here's the third level. And so if you lose track of where you are within one level while you're messing with another level, then it's pointless to, yeah. So that's, yeah, you can see how it kind of jumps in, and it'll go even deeper. Okay, yep. There it is. Results 1, and then we can look at the search results. And that display needs to be corrected. Let's try that. And we might as well make those links. Okay, so there's never going to be a search result without a search. On this one, we might have to worry about nulls, though. Okay, so now these are both links. And this one probably still has the weak form of the display here. Search, show. Oh, except it might be admin. Guess I'll just write email for now, fix it later. And then search results, just in case we want to use the show template there, even though it's probably not very useful, we can say query, and then address. I'll make it and, just so we make sure that we can display without error. And then I'll just give us a link in the admin interface to searches. So I can click right here. And then the search should have a link to its results.
Why do you use that pluralize again?
Because if it's one, I want it to say one result instead of one results.
In our routes, we need to call the resources for the search. Well, what is the reason for that?
What was your question?
We changed, we called out the resources for the word search in the results. And I'm trying to remember the meaning of the routes files.
This one?
Yes. Search results. So create resources, search new.
So you see how first we're describing which search we did,
Yes.
and then we're looking at the results for that search. So the other 6 actions also work within scoped resource. Although it might make sense to kind of suppress them because having too many roots can be a little distracting. But if we wanted to maybe update one of the results, it sometimes makes sense to kind of scope it within which search we're talking about. It would be probably more interesting if what we had was a scoped resource for searches / lots. And we said this search led to these lots, and we can go ahead and just manage them within that situation. All right, I think we're done here. Oh no, we want the architect to be able to view his past searches, his or her past searches. But I think we need to give some thought to what the interface for that looks like and how they access it.
Okay.
So that will be next time.